And then we move on to the seventh seal and the golden censer in chapter 8. So when the Lamb opened the seventh seal, the last seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Is it the awe, the silence, or is it the silence of prayer and worship? Again, I don't think it's this or that. I think it's this and that. And Edgar Casey talks about the silence in a courtroom when you're waiting for the judgment. So I think it's all of these things, the reverence. So when the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour, and I saw 7 angels who stand before God, and 7 trumpets were given to them. Another angel with a golden censer. Remember, that's the bowl that holds the incense, the prayers. Came and stood at the altar where we worship God and we serve God. He was given a great quantity of incense to offer with the prayers of all the saints on the golden altar that is before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints rose before God from the hand of the angel. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar, fire, transformation, remember, and threw it on the earth, down into the body. And there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. So this huge transformation. We're prepared, we're ready for this huge transformation, shaking up of the earth, the body, the mind, the spirit that's coming. This is heralded. Trumpets herald. This is heralded by the 7 trumpets. 7 means they're from God. Now the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets made ready to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were hurled to the earth, the body, and 1/3 of the body was burned up, and 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all of the green grass was burned up. Now there's so much in just that little paragraph there. So again, the 3rd is mentioned a lot. So it's one part of the triad, one part of, the holiness within you. You're not completely burned up. You're not completely changed. Only 1/3 of the energy is changed, okay? And again, I think this has something to do with will. God will come and cleanse it to a point where then you can make a choice. But while you're overwhelmed within the ego's grip, you can't, you're stuck, you're in prison, there's no wriggle room. But if you remove some of that power, now I can start to feel a little bit freer and I can start to make a different choice. So I think this is why it's the 3rd. Hail and fire mixed with blood. So again, this is relating on one level to the root chakra, to perception and judgment. The earth is the physical body, and all the green grass is the loss of new growth of hope spiritually. That's what that means. So really what it's talking about is when this happens, there's going to be a loss of physical energy and even health. Okay, so you're going to have a big drop in the amount of physical energy you have. So you might experience lethargy, a feeling of, giving up, of you can't be bothered, all of those kinds of things. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea. Well, that's like a volcano. A mountain with fire is a volcano, and the sea is the emotions or the underlying spirituality. And a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. So again, down into the physical body. And this one is really dealing with the energy of the emotions. The first one was the physical, life force energy, if you like. This is the energy of the emotions. Again, the second relates to the sacral energy, the sustenance and needs. Therefore, it's talking about there's going to be a loss of passion, motivation, drive, creativity, but also you'll experience that as lack and as need. And again, poverty consciousness, or I can't get things to work for me, or I need money and I can't get it, that kind of stuff. Okay, so lack and need. And that's very emotional, isn't it? And they're strong, powerful emotions. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of the water. The name of the star is Wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood, and many died from the water because it was made bitter. So again, there's the essence of something, the original illumination, our original Christ consciousness falls from heaven down into the body. It's blazing like a torch. Well, a torch guides you through the darkness, doesn't it? It's a guide. So there's a loss of guidance, there's a loss of spirituality. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs. They're sources of our emotions. And it was called wormwood. Well, I looked up wormwood, and wormwood, it means intestinal worms that eat you from the inside out. Sounds like guilt and regret to me. And many died from the waters, from the emotions of regrets and guilt, and because it was made bitter. So it's talking about real emotional loss, guilt, regret, all of that kind of stuff. Loss of your spirituality. Because when you cannot sin, you cannot experience guilt. You cannot experience regret. You are not your behaviours. I teach as a psychologist all the time, separate the person from the behaviour, because the person is always good. And most of our behaviour, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know why we do it. We do things that are for a completely different reason. So again, that's the area of the solar plexus, our real survival issues, self-preservation. So that's powerful. That fall from grace, if you like, and that the regrets and guilt and all of those things really, question how we're going to survive and what's meaningful to us, etc. So, and remember, that's the seat, the throne of Satan. So that's going to feel really bad. You're going to really experience that, and it's going to affect your self-worth, etc. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so a third of their light was darkened. A third of the day was kept from shining, and likewise the night. So a third of the sun was struck. Again, the sun, our original illumination, the God source, if you like. A third of the moon, again, the moon in the Genesis, the sun and the moon were created together. They mark time as such. They create a day, don't they? So the light was darkened and the day was kept from shining, and likewise the night. So again, I think this is alluding to time and not only your loss of spirituality, but you get ingrained in time and rushing and lack of patience, and all of these kinds of things start to take over our life. I looked and I heard an eagle crying with a loud voice as it flew in mid-heaven again, pineal gland. If this is the heaven, around third eye, throat, mid-heaven is here, around the third eye, the spiritual centre. And this is alluding to, the pain that the pineal is suffering, if you like. Because remember, it remains unchanged. It's a recorder. It's never damaged, but it's a witness to what's going on. It's still seeing what's going on in the rest of the body. Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, the body, at the blasts of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow. So that's just about what's happened to the earthly chakras. And now we're going to see what the real pain happens when the last three chakras are attacked.